Jason Garrett, Football Night in America studio analyst and three-time Super Bowl champ with the Cowboys, head coach with the Cowboys, back on the program. Good to have you. When you were head coaching the Cowboys and an assistant would be asked by another team to interview, how does that process work as the head coach with one of your assistant coaches?
I think you have to try to facilitate it as best you can. I don't think the system is a great system because there's no doubt there's some distraction that's going to come with it. Particularly, these guys are usually coming from playoff teams. So you're playing these playoff games and guys are getting ready to do an interview, but you carve out some time. I thought the guys, in Detroit seemed to do a good job with it. Hey, you got 3 hours on Saturday, you got a couple hours on Friday, that kind of thing. But the tricky part about it is you have to prepare for the interviews, and you can't just go in there cold. You're not going to get the job. So you have to allocate some time in an already packed week. When you're a coach, every minute is occupied from the start on Monday morning till getting ready to go on the field on Sunday. So to carve out that time can be a little tricky.
What still bothers you about the Lions' loss?
Well, they had it. They played so well. You're up 24-7 with 30 minutes to go. You think that, hey, we should be able to seal this deal. There were a couple moments there, a lot of conversation about Dan Campbell going for it on fourth down in 2 occasions in the second half. A big part of their success all year long has been his belief and his aggressiveness in his players, and they've responded well. And we'll never be able to measure the residual impact of that and how that helped them get there. Having said that, with 7 to go in the third quarter and you're up 24-10 and you have the opportunity to make it a 3-score game, that's the one that I'm like, 3 scores is hard. Psychologically, 2 scores, you say, okay, we get a stop, it's 24-10. Now we go drive, we're back in it. And that's exactly what happened. You make it 17 points and 3 scores. All of a sudden they're saying, hey, we got to score fast. We got to stop them. And if they score again, there's all these mental gymnastics that you play. So for me, that was an opportunity, even though aggressiveness has been good for them. That was an opportunity to kick, go up by 3 scores. And then the one at the end, it's hard for me not to try to go for the tie. But when all that stuff starts to unravel, sometimes those decisions you make as a coach can help your team. Now, if they go the right way and they make those fourth downs, they get the result that they want. But you can't lose sight of the fact that they didn't play great defense in the second half of the game. San Francisco went up and down the field, and I think that was the difference as well.
This may sound obvious, your answer, but I'll still pose it. If you're the Niners, are you more concerned about Patrick Mahomes or Kansas City's defense?
Well, ultimately, you're more concerned about Patrick Mahomes because what he's done in big moments and big games is really unprecedented in my view. He always seems to make the play to get him to the games and then to win those games. So ultimately, I think it will come down to him. But your point's well made. Your question's a great one. They've played so well on defense. And you think, God, that Steve Spagnuolo's done with a lot of young guys on that defense, really good on all 3 levels. But, you and I have talked about this before about Kansas City. I've been so impressed with how they've gotten to this point. They flopped around a lot this year. And, they were looking for their identity. And I had a chance to do that playoff game a few weeks ago, the real cold one against Miami. And, they just had a look in their eye. The head coach did, the quarterback did, the different guys we spoke to. And it just seemed to me a great example of a team saying, okay, who can we trust? Who can we trust on offense? We can trust 15, we can trust 10, we can trust 87, we can trust 4. And everybody else, if they get a chance to touch the ball, that's fine. And it's amazing how when you do that, those other guys start to respond. And to me, it's been a master class in coaching by Andy Reid to win the way they've won the last 3 weeks, the last couple on the road. And to your point, the defense has a lot to do with it too. But I loved how they've embraced their identity on offense. It's been fantastic.
We're talking to Jason Garrett, Football Night in America analyst. this whole game manager thing has taken over with Brock Purdy. And I might be somebody who led the charge on this years ago. I called Alex Smith a game manager, but I didn't mean it as a negative. I mean, you were there with Troy Aikman. Was Troy a game manager?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's what quarterbacks are supposed to do. You're supposed to be great decision makers, throw the ball to the right guy, and make the kind of decisions that help you win games. And if that's a game manager, great. It used to be game manager and gunslinger. Troy Aikman is managing games, and Brett Favre's a gunslinger, right? And when it goes sideways at the end of a game because a gunslinger is trying to stick a ball in there and it gets tipped up in the air, he was aggressive. He was ripping it in there. I'd rather try to win the games, and that's what Troy was able to do for us. I absolutely love Brock Purdy, and the story of, hey, he's the last pick in the draft. That's fascinating. I love all that, but this guy has played so well for such a young guy to walk in. I get it's a good environment. I get they have a good team. Kyle does a fantastic job. I understand all that. Look at the record of the backup quarterbacks in San Francisco, not named Jimmy Garoppolo, the last few years. Ain't real good. So a lot of guys can't simply just go in there and play. This guy's played at a high level. Sometimes people have an agenda when they evaluate, and that always gets them in trouble. Just watch what he's done. Look at the production. He's been really impressive, and he made the big plays in the game the other day with his feet to allow them to win that ball game.
Yeah, I know that's what I think is lost on people, that he doesn't have to do a lot of crazy things or be a gunslinger or take a risk because of the talent around him. And when he does, when he's forced into making a play, he did make 3 plays with his legs, and he looked quick when he was making those plays. So I don't know what role that plays in the Super Bowl there, but it feels like. And I remember saying this to a couple of analysts. He might not get credit unless he wins 2 Super Bowls. Like he wins 1, they'll go, yeah, but hey, with that team, like Brad Johnson or Trent Dilfer, well, with that team. If he wins a second one, then they'll go, all right, I think he's a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, and I think that's an unfair standard. I really do. And if you really watch how he plays, if you think about what the game manager would be described as, it would be 1, 2, 3, throw it. 1, 2, 3, throw it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, throw it. The guy's always open. All you're doing is making these decisions. Watch the plays that he makes. Watch the touchdown he throws to Ayuk, where he drops back, slides this way, slides again, and sticks the ball in the hole between the 2 defenders. Obviously, the plays that he made with his feet at the end of the game. So this guy makes these kind of sneaky plays. He doesn't wow you when he walks in the room. He looks like the paper boy. We get all that. He's not 6'4", 220, shot out of a cannon when he runs it and throws it. We understand that. But watch him play football. He plays at a high level. And he's young. This is year 2. He's really impressive.
Can you help me understand what Jerry Jones is saying about Dak Prescott? So he says, Dak has done nothing to change my mind about any promise for the future. I think I've said that we will go as far as Dak takes us in the playoffs. Remember that. We'll go as far as Dak takes us, and that's how far we went. We will go as far as Dak takes us. Okay. This is how far he took you. You didn't even get to a conference title game. So it doesn't, he may mean it as a compliment, Jason. It doesn't sound like a compliment.
Well, let's go back to your question about the Chiefs. Why are the Chiefs dangerous? They got an amazing quarterback, certainly the best of his generation, and they have a fantastic defense, right? Why are the 49ers in the big game? A lot of weapons on offense. Quarterback play is really good. They got a fantastic defense. So something I learned a long time ago playing for the Cowboys on those Super Bowl teams is teams win. Now, you have to have a great quarterback. Quarterback play is critical, but teams win. People forget that the teams in the 90s, we had the number 1 defense in football, right? We also had Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, unbelievable offensive line, and go on and on and on. Teams win in the NFL. And so this idea that it's all on the quarterback to be able to take your team all the way, NFL's too good. You can't do it. John Elway's probably the best example for me. for years, he took the city of Denver and went like this and put them on his shoulders and took them to the playoffs and had these bad Super Bowl losses. When they got better around him, they played better defense. They got Terrell Davis. All of a sudden, John Elway's John Elway. So, the idea that you're going to put it all on the quarterback is unfair. Dak didn't play his best ball against Green Bay. We all know that. The defense didn't play their best ball either. So teams win when the Cowboys are able to win some of these critical games as a team. That's when we're going to go where Jerry Jones wants them to go.
Would you rather have Travis Kelce or Rob Gronkowski?
You always do this to me. Why do you always do this to me? It was Belichick versus Brady.
I wait until the end of the interview to bring
and you
this
ask
up.
The question fast. That's great.
So, who would you rather have, Travis Kelce or Rob Gronkowski?
I'll take Travis Kelce just by a hair. Both of them are, they're all-time greats. They're top 5 tight ends ever to play. Both those guys. So,
but tougher to defend if you were running the defense here, defending Gronk or Kelce.
For me, I think it's more challenging to defend Kelce just because he's a little bit more elusive. I think he's probably a better route runner. And so, that matchup is hard, but it's the same problem. You put Gronk over there, his size, his ability to just go get a ball is really unprecedented at the position. So, they're both incredible players. Gun to my head, I'd take Kelce. That's probably because he was 11 for 11 the other day in my most recent memory. But they're both incredible.
Would you rather have Tom Brady or Troy Aikman?
Wow, now you're killing me. I think Troy Aikman is the most underrated quarterback in ball. I don't think people realize how great this guy was. And he's obviously a dear friend of mine. We had lockers next to each other for 8 straight years. But I just think he's an amazing, amazing football player. I've never seen a guy put a team first more than he did. If you think about that, the temptation to make it all about me, I'm the quarterback of the Cowboys, cash in, make it about my stats, he made it about winning. And if you think about his post-game interviews, anybody who watched him do interviews for years would say, Troy Aikman going into broadcasting, are you kidding me? I mean, he's like boring. Well, he was boring on purpose. It was all intentional because he was leading the team and he was trying to limit the distractions. And so his leadership was rare. And then his ability to go out there and play at the highest level in the biggest moments was incredible. Now, Tom Brady comes along and you say Troy won 3, Tom has won 7. The facts tell you that, boy, we got it. This is the first face we chisel on Mount Rushmore. But okay, gun to my head, I take Brady. But Troy Aikman could do anything that Tom Brady could do, in my opinion. He's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I think you're being fair to Troy when you say, he had all these weapons. And I don't know, he was probably labeled a game manager, which maybe was a negative to people. But he managed the game. He had Emmett. Why wouldn't you share the wealth with everything that you had there instead of being one-dimensional, let's throw it 40 times? You guys led with Emmett. And then, you needed a big play. You had Irv that, would be there to get a first down. So I think to suppress your ego at that position with that team is even more challenging than what people realize.
No doubt. And it's a different time. It's 25, 30 years ago now. And the world's crazy now with everything so immediate and everything so much in your face just with how the media is, but it was wild back then too. I mean, there was a lot of attention given to that team, and he led it so well. And I agree with what you said. We always led with Emmett, but sometimes we led with Troy. A typical Troy Aikman game was he's 15 for 19 at half for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then he finishes 19 for 26. Because we throw it 6 times in the second half and we run it more.
Yeah.
So it wasn't always run. Troy fit in. Sometimes it would start with the pass, and then over the course of the game, we just wear him down by doing both.
I like to make you sweat a little bit.
You do a great job of that. That's why they call you the best in the business.
And you thought coaching the Cowboys was difficult. Come on. Hey, great to talk to you. And thanks for joining us as always, Jace.
Yeah, always enjoy it. You're fantastic. Have a great day.
That's Jason Garrett, NBC Football Night in America studio analyst. And of course, Peacock will be on display at the Super Bowl. Our show, Pro Football Talk with Florio and Chris Sims. Michael Smith and Michael Holley, brother from another. Matthew Berry's Fantasy Football Happy Hour. All of that coming from Vegas coming up next week.